This is the Honest Fit Life. But before we get into all that, I wanted to give you full disclosure that we are not fitness trainers, doctors, or healthcare professionals. We are just everyday regular people that are sharing what has worked for us, and what has worked for us may not work for you. This is not meant to be a guide for weight loss or fitness training, just our experiences. So before beginning any weight loss program or fitness training, consult your doctor or healthcare provider. All right, everybody. I am David. I'm glad you're joining us. And joining me today is my wife, Mandy,
Hello, everyone.
and our son, Gabe.
Hey everyone.
So, on this episode, we're going to just talk about injuries in the gym and how it affects you and the things that you can do in the meantime while you're healing and recovering. So, long story short, I have a shoulder injury that I recently got. I'm not sure if it was specifically at the gym or if that just made it worse. It could have been partly to what I do for a job. But anyways, it's not a tear, but I have a stretched tendon in my shoulder. And after visiting the doctor, said that I need to stop working out, at least my upper body, for the next 6 weeks to 6 months, depending on how long it takes to heal. Apparently, there's no quick way to do this, and that left me feeling kind of defeated. That, I'm on this path, I'm seeing the results, I'm excited for where I'm going with everything. Finally hitting a stride, which I feel, getting my nutrition under control, and then this happens. So, huge setback as far as I'm concerned, and it's like, do I give up? Do I, change everything I've been doing and ride this out, or do I kind of modify what I'm doing nutrition wise and at the gym? So that's what we're going
Right.
to talk about. Injuries are a real thing. It happens to everybody. Hopefully it does not happen to you, but it is common. I don't believe that my form was necessarily bad. I'm not sure what caused it. In my younger years, I definitely did a lot of things I probably shouldn't have. And that has left me with issues now that I get to deal with, like my
Yeah.
shoulders, my elbows, and my knees.
I would say lots of things you shouldn't have done.
Right. So, let's talk about if you get injured, what's the best way to go about it? I mean, obviously, don't keep doing what you were doing.
Yeah, it's largely depends on where the injury is. Is it a knee injury? Is it a hip injury? Is it, did you pull muscle in your bicep? Is it a shoulder injury? Is it a back injury?
Right.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, you gotta know like where the injury's at, so you can like kind of like work off of it and try to like avoid using whatever that joint you have an injury, or if you have like some sprain or pulled muscle somewhere, like so you can avoid hurting it more, and stuff like that. So yeah.
Right. And unfortunately, when you have an injury in your shoulder, that's everything upper body.
Yes.
And for me, I don't care to do legs. I'm not a big fan of cardio.
Yeah.
And I'd rather do everything upper body. So I'm now down for a minimum of probably a month at this point before I can get in and start, actually kind of getting back on track. So what we've talked about is things I can do at the gym now that don't involve upper body.
Yeah.
And that maybe I can incorporate that I've been avoiding, like, doing more core, more abs.
Yes.
Working on my legs more, which, yes, they need to grow. Nobody wants to do legs. Legs are like the one thing that, nobody wants to focus on, but you really need to. It's all part of it.
Yeah, it's a pretty notorious hated day
Mm-hmm.
to work on.
Definitely.
So, we came up with, I guess, so kind of going back to the beginning, my question was, do I stop working out altogether? Do I cut my nutrition? So I've increased my calorie intake quite a bit recently to kind of deal with, maybe a deficit that I was having, which was affecting my energy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the first thing I thought was, okay, should I immediately cut back on my calorie intake and go kind of back to what it was before, knowing that I'm not going to be pushing myself as hard as I used to now that I'm kind of on, a vacation with it.
Yeah. And see, what I said to that was, because we were talking about that, and it's like trying to figure out what exercises he, excuse me, that he can do at the gym. That's core, legs. I mean, you can separate your legs. You can focus on quads and, your hamstrings or glutes or even your calf muscles. You can do major core exercises on top of, a lot there. And it's not necessarily just because you can't do your upper body, doesn't mean you can't push yourself at the gym
Right.
and still have an amazing workout and you can do more cardio. So I don't think necessarily cutting back calories is necessary.
Right.
Because
But you
if you're still doing amazing exercises and figuring out going to the gym with a plan, knowing you can't do certain things. I mean, if you go to the gym and you don't have a plan, you're not going to have a good exercise.
Right. So I've been to the gym once since getting the diagnosis from the doctor. And I will say it was a very disjointed, not very enjoyable time at the gym because I was so off base. It was chest and back day, and I'm left with legs and abs.
Yeah.
And, legs I'm fine with. I don't do a lot of core. So now it's like I'm at square one with something that I don't normally focus on.
Yeah.
And not going into it the right mindset really didn't help. I mean, working out is both mental and physical. You go into it, pushing your body and your emotions and your mind need to be working in tandem with it to get the actual results that you're looking for.
Yeah.
So I was not there. And, we were there for an hour and a half or whatever it was. And based on how I normally look at a workout, it felt like it was a horrible workout overall because I wasn't doing the normal things that I normally do. And I was trying to piece together, a whole new program kind of on the fly with very little notice. But, looking at it now, it's like, yeah, there is a unique opportunity to focus on things that I don't normally have time to do, through this point. I mean, legs, obviously, it gives me a chance to work on those a couple times a week now instead of just maybe one leg day a week. And additionally, yes, I can work on my core.
Yes.
And it's something that I do neglect quite a bit. And I'm sure there's other things. Gabe, do you have any other suggestions of things that I could focus on besides upper body?
Well, before I hit that, I definitely want to hit on the thing about if you get an injury, it doesn't mean the end of the world. It's you can kind of grow from it. You can try to hit other muscles that you I guess don't really mainly focus on, because a lot of people do upper body because it's it's fun. You can get a pump, you look good or whatever, etc. But once that happens, it's oh, what do I do now? But it's more you can take it as a growing experience and a learning experience and learn new exercises and to learn how to do new techniques and forms and stuff like that. But yeah, if you have a shoulder injury, it's pretty bad just because you use your shoulders a lot in in daily life and then also in working out, especially upper body. But I mean, there is ways of kind of working around it with having your kind of tense or whatever, kind of just flex your shoulders or whatever, just kind of keep everything close to you instead of widening out or whatever. So I mean, you can work your arms, maybe not as much triceps, but biceps should be fine if you do it in the right way.
Right, isolate the shoulder so it's not
Yeah.
getting stressed at all.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, you can probably get your arms more working with that because you're not kind of yanking the weight forward and using your shoulders as much, and you can actually really work your bicep too. So
Right.
having it really close to your body. And then just legs. You can do all sorts of different leg stuff now, especially, and you can also maybe do an extra day too of just legs or abs or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You can do more cardio and there's a ton of things if you just go into it and research on your own and stuff like that. Tons of stuff. And then core, as always. It's definitely something a lot of people probably don't do as much, but I do know a lot of people that do actually do a lot of core stuff because it's just it can stabilize you in a lot of exercises you do. But yeah.
Right. And I will say that the one thing I realized going to the gym and trying to focus on core was how bad my core really is.
Yeah.
And I'm like-
Right.
it was almost to the point that I'm like, I'm gonna do some stuff at home for a while, so I don't look so embarrassing at the gym in front of everybody because it
But-
was that bad.
Yeah, but it's also getting out of your comfort zone, and it's like it's no different. Like when I bench, I'm only
Mhm.
benching like 20 pounds
Well,
No.
on
Oh.
each side.
20 pounds on each side.
But it's
yeah.
like, and guys are doing like 240, 45 plate, and it's like you see all these people, and it's like I'm doing small weight.
Yeah,
And it's like you start somewhere.
you're a girl, and that's okay. But it's
But
like
that's
everybody-
still not even, that's still
but
actually
it's like
a lot of weight
own
for a
it.
woman.
It's just when you go to the gym, I totally get what David's saying. It's like, if you're starting out, you go to the gym, you feel lost and you feel like you're going to be judged and you don't really know what you're doing, and it's just kind of daunting.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everybody starts somewhere.
Right.
I mean,
Well, I
if you
mean-
want to do stuff at home, that's totally fine, but it's like, own it at the gym. Just focus on yourself. Don't focus on who's watching you or who's judging you. It's like you got to do it for yourself.
Right.
Well, yeah, especially like I guess going to that, like having that mindset for an injury, it's like it can be like devastating at first, as you're like, oh crap, like what am I supposed to do now? Like,
Right.
and even if you had a knee injury and you couldn't do squats or whatever, there's still probably some things you could do with your legs and your calves wise and stuff like that. But with shoulders, it's still devastating because it's your upper body, and people might not like working your legs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But having that mindset of I'm just gonna do it, get in there, and try my best, and even learn more. And then once you get off your injury, you know even more. You can
Right.
do more.
Yeah.
You can be more disciplined with your workouts. You know more techniques. You know more form of
Yeah.
these certain exercises, and
Yeah.
for you can I can almost bet you're gonna have a stronger core after this period of time.
Right.
You're gonna be strengthening it
Yeah.
and learning new things or whatever, learning what to do, especially with your legs as well. So
Right. And I guess, looking at that, if you try to, find a mental positive note with it, and yeah, it can you can look at it in the negative, like this is the worst thing, I'm going to lose all the progress I've made. What's the point now? I mean, those are the standard things you go through, and everybody does, a little bit of depression with it, a little bit of regret. But if you start looking at, this isn't necessarily the end of the world, it's just a different way of looking at it. And there can be some good benefits from this in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I'm
Yeah.
looking at.
Well, yeah, instead of because getting an injury, it can be devastating. It can be very upsetting, especially when you're starting to see progress. You're really getting on a right path. It can be devastating. A knee injury, hip injury, like what Dave is going through, a shoulder injury. Instead of looking at, well, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this now, I can't do this now. It's like, yeah, there's going to be things you can do,
Right.
but focus on what you can do. I mean, even if you get a back injury, there's a lot of things you can sit there and do stuff that you're not
Mhm.
straining your back. You may not be able to do like squats and stuff, heavy on back or even core stuff. It's like you just figure out what you can do.
Right.
I mean, like with David, like cardio.
Yes. I can,
It's like, well, if I had a shoulder, and I told him if I had a shoulder injury, I'd be going around all the different cardio machines. I don't do a lot of cardio now, but I'm like, if I didn't have a choice, I'd be on the stair stepper. I'd be doing the elliptical. I'd be
Right.
doing the bike. I'd be doing all kinds of stuff when I normally don't.
Right. So, yeah. And so that's kind of what I'm looking at, of changing my routine now. I am going to cut back on the amount of food I eat, but not a lot, just a
Right.
little bit. Because with only working half of my body, I don't feel I need as many calories at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep my protein levels where they are, but I'm going to basically cut back, and eat just a little bit less with each meal.
Yeah, I would
And-
say maybe like a couple hundred calories.
Yeah, and that's all I'm
200
gonna do. Like
calories.
probably like 300 calories, maybe 3 to
Yeah.
500 or something like that. But yeah, I'm obviously not going to be pushing as hard as I was before the injury. So with that, I mean, I guess the next step is once I start to heal, what's my next step? And I guess it's something we can talk about, like kind of post-injury,
Mhm.
Right.
getting back into the gym. Okay, so my shoulder is no longer hurting, but it's still going to be weak for a while, and I am going to lose some muscle through this process, I'm going to lose some strength,
Yeah.
and I've got to kind of start back over. So what would be the best way to go about it? Getting back into the gym to where I can actually start doing upper body again.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's take it slow. Take it slow, lower the weight down and, kind of stick your toe in the water. Test it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Definitely don't go in and just assume I'm going to be right where I left off and
Yeah.
just push,
Mhm.
push it. And, it's a great way to re-injure what I spent all that time healing.
Yeah.
And so it is kind of baby steps. I mean, Gabe, you've heard of a lot of guys that have had injuries. Do you want to
Mhm.
explain kind of what they've gone through to get back up? I mean, these are a lot of
Mm.
competition guys even.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of guys that go into physical therapy and that stuff, but if you don't want to pay for something, definitely like just try to, go in for like massages and like kind of like deep tissue stuff or, ice and heat. And then especially if once you stop kind of like feeling your injury, I guess, as much, you can start kind of like just stretching with like bands, trying to like do, with your shoulders and stuff, like your rotator cuff and your back, and trying to like strengthen your upper back, and things like that, so you can be more sturdy, kind of like going into the future and like strengthening that, so you can prevent that shoulder or something, whatever,
Right.
wherever your injury is, after. And just as you said, taking it easy, kind of like if you're going to like the gym for the first time, just take it really easy. Even though you might have, been doing a lot of weight before, do not do that. Don't start just maxing
Mhm.
out. Don't just start lifting heavy weight. Just take it easy for a little bit, regain that strength and that muscle wherever your injury was. Strengthen the muscles around that, which is very important, so you can be sturdy, and especially with your shoulders, just strengthening everything around your shoulder
Right.
would help out a lot. And with the knees, strengthening your tendons and everything around your knees, so you can prevent that injury. And then even like putting some like casts on your like knees, like some like knee
You're talking braces?
like knee braces or whatever. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then with your back, just take it easy. Don't like start bending over and doing rows or anything. Just take it easy. And honestly, you'll be fine. And you'll probably be even stronger than before, because usually people that go back into the gym after an injury, they're really dedicated and they want to get back to where they were. And
Yeah.
so they're like more motivated than before.
Right.
So
yeah, mentally
Yeah.
hungry, ready to
Yeah.
get back
Well,
there.
then you got to think it's not going to take you as long. Like when you start at square one.
Right.
If you're down and out, even from an injury for say 2-3 months, you are going to lose some muscle, but not as much as you think. And it may take you a month, I would say a month or two, to get back to where you were.
depending on the injury, yeah.
Yeah, depending on the injury, how
Mhm.
much. If you're down longer for that, like even 6 months, 8 months, yeah, you're kind of going back to square one.
Right.
But if
Yeah.
you're down and out for like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, it's like it's going to take you a few weeks, but you're not going back to square one.
Right.
You're
right.
not losing everything.
Right. And initially it felt like that.
Mhm.
I mean, that was my
Oh, for
very
sure.
first thought when he told me, when I heard 6 months, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, this is pointless now.
Yeah.
I'm literally starting over when I get back into it. But yeah, that was, like I said, that was the first hour of it,
Yeah.
and then after that, it's like, okay, what can I do? So, yeah, so I've gone through the mental part, and I am ready, and I do know that getting back into when I can start doing upper body again, it is taking it slow, and it is, testing the weight. I mean, even starting off with very little weight. I mean, it's like on bench, just the bar only. See how the bar feels, and then
Yeah.
just add little by little,
Yep.
and pray that I don't feel anything in the shoulder, but keep it light for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe don't do as many reps, don't do as much weight, and just let everything kind of loosen up again and kind of get the muscles, reconditioned.
Yeah.
And then just slowly step it up little by little. And I know it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's very frustrating, but, the end goal is better than the short-term little boost that I'm looking for. And, this is definitely a setback. And, injuries do happen. So, best ways to avoid getting injured at
Yeah.
the gym.
Well, yeah. Um, again,
yeah.
like stretching, warming up, making sure that you have blood in the muscles that you're working that day, and just warming up your everything. Doing
Mhm.
some cardio before, getting blood into your system, getting your heart rate a little up. Just really warming up your muscles is really key. And then also like just stretching too, having that flexibility reduces injury a lot. And that's why a lot of football players, whenever they do like ballet or whatever,
Mhm.
a lot of athletes do yoga and things like that because they're doing really intense stuff. And they're in that yoga or whatever, that flexibility and stuff like that, and that balance helps them out, reduce that risk of injury. And also doing like recovery things after you're working out, helps out a lot. Just massaging, if you have like Theragun or whatever,
Mhm.
use that. If you have like some like rolling thing at home, use that. Just ice baths, those help out. Those are really
Mhm.
Yeah.
or cold showers, whatever.
Yeah, I won't do
Like,
those
just
though. I'm not gonna
like
lie, I can't do that.
it's it's definitely weird at first, especially ice baths or cold
Yeah.
showers, but it definitely does help out. And yeah, just doing all those things, but doing it consistently over time, and also form while
Mhm.
working out
Yes.
reduces the injury a lot. Not being some meathead and lifting a
Yeah.
bunch of weight that you
Yes.
can't lift. It's like, no, you're gonna throw
Yeah.
out a lot of muscles. You're gonna tear
Yeah.
a muscle or whatever, and that is not fun.
I mean, I would say that's probably
So
the number one
Yeah.
way you get
Yeah.
an injury is being a macho lifter,
Oh, yeah.
ego lifter.
Well,
Mm.
form is huge. I mean, I would say it's not even just ego lifting. It's really hard, especially. I mean, I would say it's mostly just from what I've seen. When people start first working out, they get injuries because you don't know your form yet.
Mhm.
And it's like it can come from just a pure lack of knowledge of actually how to do that specific exercise, like squats or like benching or
Mhm.
certain things. People can tweak their back.
I've seen a lot of scary stuff at the gym. I'm like,
Don't yeah.
oh, you
It's
are
like
gonna
don't
be
even
so
get me
hurt.
started. I've seen the scariest stuff at the gym. People
Yeah.
doing stuff that you should not be doing.
Mhm.
And that's asking for it. You're gonna break your back, your neck, your legs,
Yeah,
I've seen
blow a
this.
disc in your back. I mean, there's so many
Yeah.
things you
Mhm.
can do.
I had bad form with a lot of stuff when I first started because I didn't know.
We all did.
Yeah, it's like I didn't know.
Mhm.
I wasn't sure what I was doing, and it's like you learn as you go. But that's kind of when you can get those injuries.
Right. So
I mean,
I
you
would.
can even
Which is
get,
when I got one. Which is when I got one. I had
Mhm.
an injury.
you can even get injuries outside of working out as
Well,
well.
yeah.
Especially people that have jobs or some hobby that they do, and they do something. Like I knew a person, I don't know the person, but they're on like YouTube or whatever, and they were doing a sport or whatever, and one of their discs in their back like shattered or something like that in their lower back, and they could not do any deadlifting or like anything. And they're pretty popular. I mean, and it was devastating for them, but also they did like physical therapy for like a like a very very long time,
Mhm.
and they're just now recently getting back into stuff, but they also worked around it. Like they knew what they were doing, and they
Mhm.
did research, and they talked to people, and they gave them advice. So just
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, that being said, it's not the end of the world,
No, it's not.
but you need to take care of yourself. I mean, that's bottom line. I mean, that's the reason you're doing all this. The reason you're on a healthy plan, and the reason you're working out and getting fit. You're taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And proper form. And I would say, if you're gonna lift weights, do it within what you can do. I
Yeah.
mean, everybody likes to, have, PRs, personal records, but there's a point that you can risk injury by going for that record, by going for your personal best.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm guilty of it. I mean, everybody is. It's like, oh, I just, what if I just threw 10 more pounds on?
Yeah.
And, you can get in serious trouble.
Yeah.
Like I said, I kind of call it ego lifting. But I would say, until you have great form, don't over push the weight.
Yes.
I'm guilty of it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm sure that that's part of this, is my form may not have been quite perfect and threw on a little bit too much weight. And I am where I'm at now, which is long road ahead.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so avoiding injuries in the future was something we just talked about. You know, don't overlift.
Mhm.
Definitely do stretching. I mean, that's something I can definitely
Yeah.
work on a bit more, is a little
Yeah.
more stretching before a workout.
Yeah.
And
Warm
I,
up.
and I don't do any stretching after, and that may be something that I can look at as well. Is
Yeah.
I mean,
stretching-
people don't really talk about that as much as like afterwards. It's like people do stretch afterwards. Like it definitely reduces soreness and it reduces a
Yeah.
lot of things. So
Mhm.
And I would say it's also really important as the older you get as well.
Right. I mean, I'm definitely at that point. I should be stretching a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it doesn't really matter your age. Like,
I mean,
Even-
it definitely helps. I'm saying
even-
it's even more vital the older you get
well, yeah, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
because you're not as flexible anymore. You're not 20, 25 where you can heal in a week. You're not, your muscles are more tense. It's more vital. I
Well,
mean, it
even
can help
then-
anybody.
Even then, people that have been working out for decades, they even like they tell like teenagers and younger people to stretch and do these things
Yeah.
because it's like you can still get injury.
Oh,
And
for
honestly, probably even worse because those people are lifting a lot more weight.
Yeah.
Right.
And
sure. I'm saying like
they should
I'm
be.
saying like stretching after a workout.
mhm.
I mean, I stretch really heavy before a workout.
Right. None of us stretch after, and that's
No.
something that now I should probably start looking at a little bit more, and seeing and does it actually help in recovery as well?
Mhm.
In next day recovery. I mean, we obviously use the Theragun afterwards, but I think stretching might help get some of that started ahead of time as well. But yeah, so we'll see, Gabe, when you get to my age.
Dude, I
How
already-
important stretching really is. It's like
I know.
you realize that everything's just sore and tight and doesn't want to move all the time.
Yeah.
I'm sore, man.
I mean,
still
like
get
every
sore.
workout, David and I, we stretch our legs.
Yeah.
It's like, but I'm not doing, it's not leg day, but I know I'm going to do a little cardio and I'm still stretching anyway. And my legs are tight. Like I have to stretch every day.
Right.
I don't know.
And it was
I
not
ma-
like
I
that
make
20
sure-
years ago.
I make sure to do more, I guess, warm-ups. I always do warm-ups before my workouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So-
when you start packing on the years, it does become more critical that you
Well,
do.
I mean, your
get
recovery
loosened up.
time isn't as quick when
No.
you're older, so
No,
Yeah.
that's definitely another area I suffer. But like I said, just the flexibility, and I know that this may have also contributed to some of the stuff I'm facing right now, is I may not have stretched enough that day. I might
Mhm.
have been just in a hurry to get out there. I mean, I have such a short attention span in general. And so, like I said, cardio, abs, and stretching are the things that I just don't have patience for. And it's something that I'm going to need to learn. And I get the time now. I get
Yep.
I got weeks
Yep.
to learn to have patience with it.
Yep.
Mhm.
And hopefully learn to love whatever I can within it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would say, take it easy, stretch, and stay within your limits. Those are the best ways to avoid injury. I'm going to take my own advice because I obviously didn't do it.
Yeah.
And I get to think about my choices for the next, hopefully not more than 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely not the end of the world. It is an opportunity to do stuff that I haven't done and maybe focus on areas that I can be better overall when I get back to that point. So I'm going to take it, with the silver lining and go, okay, I learned my lesson. I'm going to have patience with this thing. Take it easy when I get back. But in the meantime, I'm going to do everything I can to stay on my goals, to keep my body in shape, stay active, stay healthy, and do what I can within my limits at the gym. And, hopefully, like I said, in 6 weeks or so, get back and start rebuilding. And this will be all a distant memory and something that I can laugh about at some point in time.
Yeah.
But, so that's pretty much it for us on this episode. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. If you have any comments or whatever, you can reach out on social media, follow us on social media. You can follow us on social media. For Mandy, it is honestfitlife_Mandy, and for me, it is honestfitlife_David on Instagram, or you can visit our website at honestfitlife.com. Be sure to consult your doctor or healthcare provider before beginning any weight loss or fitness training program. This has been a Road One Media production. All rights are reserved.